And good morning and welcome to the Friday edition of Things You Might Have Heard from me and the Conversation Project, homed at, which is not grammatically correct, homed at the This is the Conversation Project.com. Quick sip of tea to get the morning started. Yeah, we're still working on the lighting and things like that to make sure all that doesn't happen. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. These are going to be 6 stories that you might not have picked up on in your mainstream media diet. Although some of them are pretty mainstream, some of them are kind of off the beaten path. And these are things that make you feel that much more smarter, that much more intelligent, that much more engaged with what's going on. As we like to think, we are dealing with the best people to doing conversations. And so we're talking about the not so much the biggest news stories, but things that are actually kind of worth getting to a real conversation with. You actually help us pick those stories out. We'll talk about that towards the end of this broadcast here. But for right now, let's go ahead and get into the show for this Friday to get you things for your water cooler or your bus ride or your Uber ride or your coffee shop. I guess water cooler is not really the big thing anymore. Your coffee shop talk, although people usually just want to be not bothered. So I guess that's all that it goes. Let's get into the big details. Number one, remind you that you can help us out by going to our main website anytime you feel like it. This is a conversationproject.com. Check out the partnerships or the sponsorships links and see if there's a way that you will want to help contribute to us. And the biggest thing is just share this thing, like and subscribe to however you want to get into this if you're not already a subscriber. Let's get into the news stories, shall we? 911 dispatcher may be fired over handling a Buffalo shooting call. NewYorkTimes.com gave us this one basically 2 days ago. This is a story that's been in the mix for a while, and we have a range of coverage for about 30 hours or so for what's in the news based on how things rank out. This one took a while to rank into the stories, as it took a little while for people to kind of get into the story. But let's go back to Buffalo, and this was basically put in there as a way to extend the Buffalo coverage, if you will. The shooting in Buffalo at the Tops supermarket there. So while this thing was going on, there were 911 calls coming in, basically saying what happened in the scene. One caller called in, hiding from the gunman, whispering because she didn't want to be found, didn't want to be identified, didn't want the shooter to figure out where she was so that she could be safe. But she was calling 911 to call in the incident to get people to arrive and hopefully do something with it. What happened to the call? Well, the 911 operator couldn't understand the caller because the caller was whispering. The caller was not audible enough for her. I'm going to say her. I don't know for the dispatcher to actually hear the call, and because of that, essentially hung up on the call. Now, what turned into on the early echelon of the reporting of this before it turned into a big thing was the ability for many regions to have like 911 via text or 911 chat type things. Many places don't actually have to implement it, as it's basically the next bit of technology. Number one, calling from your cell phone and being able to track your cell phone. Number two, being able to go by text if you can't be audible in a case like this. This was a case where someone did not need to be yelling and screaming, "I'm in a supermarket being shot at," because they were in a supermarket being shot at. What's going to happen? Probably going to lose their job over this one. We'll see exactly. We'll cover this one definitely as we get more details on this. The next story we have is this one. George W. Bush makes unfortunate Iraq gaffe when condemning Putin's Ukraine invasion. This happened 2 days ago, and I got to see some clips of it yesterday morning as I was essentially preparing for this. And so we didn't get a chance to get into the news for yesterday because it happened so late in the evening and didn't get any coverage until people got to chat at it. But this is a gaffe that's a bit of a funny and a bit of a head scratcher and a bit of a, oh, really now? George W. Bush, I should say, saying the inside parts out loud, maybe because of a senior moment. So he's giving a speech 2 nights ago, and he's condemning Putin for invading Ukraine and just saying that, one man having all this power, one man being able to control things, one man being able to roll into and just attack a unexpected nation, one man making that decision is bad, and it was especially bad for, and he said, Iraq, but he meant Ukraine. And then he said, no, Ukraine. But also Iraq. He kind of joke at it and said, well, I'm 75 years old. These things happen. So it's a gaffe. It's a funny, it's a head scratcher, and it's maybe a bit of conscience coming in there, a bit of a Freudian slip on the fact that in those times, George W. Bush was the man with the power to roll into Middle Eastern countries, Iraq specifically, and just sort of bulldoze it because of faulty intel specifically. He wasn't claiming to unite the nations and pull back old lands from Dominion, but he was going in there because we were going after uh, weapons of mass destruction that didn't turn out to be there. That's something there, and the fact that Fox News actually covered it as well. They called it. They took it more to the funny side. Other places took it more to the did he really say that out loud side? Happening in the few days. Rockies reporter Kelsey Wingert recovers after being hit by a foul ball. USAtoday.com gives us this one. This was a top story coming through because a lot of people saw this as an article and got really deep into this. This is something that happens not all that often, but when it does, it reminds you that there's a lot of things going on a baseball field. The sideline reporter, Kelsey Wingert, doing her job, just being on the side, and covering things and not being aware of something going on, because a foul ball is a foul ball, and she's actually hit with the foul ball and she's recovering nicely. She will be fine, no serious damage. It's just basically shaken up in this incident. But this is something of the kicker of kickers. A story like this picks up pace, picks up steam, and everybody goes into it except Wolf Blitzer and Ari Blaber, Maber, whatever his name is. They didn't talk about it, but you guys wanted to talk about this one specifically. Kellyanne Conway, you guys want to talk about her as well. She has a new book, and she talks about some of the issues in her marriage during her turbulent time in the White House. People.com gave us this one for the source, and it's basically hyping her new book and talking about how she was kind of despondent because her husband, George Conway, essentially their marriage was having some issues, their relationship really, really bad, as they were both staunch Republicans, but Conway, a very much not a Trumper, and basically took on a job and put money into a business to get Kelly Conway's boss fired. And it turned to the thing. Essentially said that her husband had a new relationship basically with Twitter and the tweets, as opposed to spending time and being engaged with her and her life. And oddly enough, who was supportive in this? Ivanka Trump. Now, these are all talking points to sell books. And what we got for Kellyanne Conway's in her opening statements, the biggest complaint about a lot of books about Trump is they held on to the good stuff that might have saved our nation to put it in their book because they needed some red meat in the book to bring people in there. So far, not a lot of red meat coming from the previews of Kellyanne Conway's book, mostly a memoir about herself, if you will, or real about herself, not so much the big insider stuff inside the White House and any big bad things happening. Kelly Conway may have been the mouthpiece for the Trump administration, but she wasn't really a driving force, I would say, if you will. She was named as an advisor and put out there on TV shows to basically explain what was going on. But in most cases, I don't think she was actually doing policy or making up stuff, other than the fact that Trump would make up stuff to their policy, and she had to explain it to the world. We'll see more about what's going on in the mind of Kellyanne Conway as the book is released and more people actually read it. But for right now, the juicy bits aren't so juicy if all she has is her husband was cheating on her with Twitter. We're going to need a little bit more to get that bit more salacious and get some sales up. Nicole Kidman was excluded from Tom Cruise's career montage at the Cannes Film Festival. Page6.com gave us this one. This is a bit of a slight, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe Nicole Kidman didn't want to be a part of the montage, didn't want to be a part of the life of Tom Cruise as celebrated in what's going on. Now, a whole bunch of the transition of Tom Cruise into super mega ultra star happened in the Nicole Kidman married years. And it's just reality. They starred in movies together. They built each other up in some things together. Far and away, one of the biggest movies they did together. And now they are, very much not apart. Nicole Kidman, of course, nothing to do with Tom Cruise, nothing to do with the Scientology, nothing to do with the former life. But, and this is a serious but, it was a big part of it in the run up to where we got to today. Tom Cruise being the semi-president of the United States, I guess. Maybe he's the leader of the cabal. Maybe he actually runs Illuminati. I don't know because I'm not there. But to Nicole Kidman, also apparently not there either. We're not acknowledging her parts into the life of Tom Cruise because Tom Cruise basically said not to. And Rihanna gives birth to her first baby, welcomes the baby with ASAP Rocky yesterday. E Online gave us that one, and we are just going to do a quick congratulations to Rihanna and ASAP Rocky on the new child. So congratulations, and hopefully you'll get some sleep at nights early on, because at some point in time, the sleepless nights become a thing. So you've probably been warned. I'm doing my warning as well. Teaser story for today. We had a story that was in range to talk about. That was Nick Saban, but we went with this one to basically stretch it along to get in what we had going on. Here is your headline. Former college football players call out Nick Saban for lying about Alabama never paying recruits. The story we had that was listed today was basically that Nick Saban was being punished by the SEC for calling out Texas A&M, saying that all they're doing is buying players thanks to the new NIL rules. And then, of course, it turned into, hey, Kettle, this is a pot. You're both black type of situation where people said, well, you kind of did it when it was illegal. So what's the point? We're going to see if this one spans the globe for the weekend. And we're talking about this one as a big story coming up on Monday, as we talk about the larger scope from Friday to Monday morning. But first, let's talk about making a little money for us here at the Conversation Project. We're going to talk about Zenni Optical very quickly talk about Zenni Optical, because that's all you need to know is great glasses, great prices, Zenni Optical. It is pretty much self-explanatory. Zenni Optical is where I've been buying my frames online for years. I'll say 6 or 7 years or so, because my frames are basic, my lenses are basic, and they're extremely basic for cost. So cost-wise, Zenni Optical is the way I go, because I also tend to lose a lot of them. So I have glasses in various strategic places, so that when I drop some and walk away, I can find my spares all the time. Also have sunglasses made and some sports goggles in my sports bag, in my bag in the car. So when I go to the gym, I can pull out my sports goggles. When I'm in the car, I can pull out my sunglasses. When I'm lost at work and drop my glasses while I'm working on something and walk to another building, I can pull other pair of glasses, because I have them all over the place, because they are economical. They also are beautiful. They also are durable. They also are fashionable. They also have all the technology you're looking for. So if you're looking for inexpensive glasses because you hadn't bought a pair in a while, they've got you covered. If you're looking for more expensive glasses with blue blocker technology or transitions technology or trifocals, bifocals, whatever you're looking for, you can find them at Zenni Optical. Go to thisistheconversationproject.com/Zenni. This is theconversationproject.com/Zenni, Zenni, and they'll take good care of you. And by using this link as an affiliate link, they'll take a little care of us, but you won't notice a difference. You won't see a change at all. This is basically a finder's fee to get you into the door. And once you're there, Zenni will be your optician. Well, not your obstetrician, but they will definitely be your glasses provider for quite a long time. And we're not talking about bare mattress. We just have some slides out of order. Website is thisistheconversationproject.com. Stop by the website for more details on how you can follow us for more things, including you can be a partner with us to help us keep things going, and visit our sponsors, other sponsors like Bare Mattress, and see how other sponsors can take care of you to help us keep things on the long. The easiest way to keep us going is just check out our sponsors. You pay nothing extra in what you actually pay for, and we get a little bit back because they're affiliate links. Our feeds are on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/thisistheconversationproject and Twitter.com/th_conversation. Excuse me, a little bubble there. Get that cleared. When you follow our feeds, excuse me, you'll see every 50 minutes or so we post a news story that is a new news headline or an update headline. Sometimes we do updates to things if there's a proper update to keep things going. And you can engage in the stories as you wish. You read them and see what's going on, number one. Then you like them, love them, hate them, share them. The more engagement a story gets, higher score it gets. Tuesday through Friday, we give you 5 to 7 stories from the top 15 stories of engagement, about 30 to 35 within a day. Over the weekend, that's from just this morning, at midnight this morning, to all the way to 5 a.m. on Monday, we're going to give you more stories. That's going to turn into over 90, almost 100 stories in that batch of time. And so we're going to pull from top 30 in engagement and give you 7 to 9 stories or so that you can take on for your beginning of the week water cooler talk. You do that simply by following the feeds, and you just engage in the stories, and you can be a part of the show. You can tell us what to talk about, literally. our website at our YouTube page. Link to that by going to thisisaconversationproject.com/YouTube, and you can subscribe there. You also hit the notifications so that you get the notifications when we go live about 5:50 a.m. every single weekday morning here across the internets. A few more things going with some today things. First, birthdays for today. You don't have to believe in life after love because Cher told you it's there. 76 years old on today. Timothy Oliphant turning 54 years old today, coming back in another version of Justified, a short version series, I believe, the continued cohort and mayhem of Raylan Givens as a U.S. Marshal, and Busta Rhymes turning 50 today, which really makes me feel kind of old because I didn't realize I was basically the same age as Busta Rhymes, and I didn't realize that Busta Rhymes was 50 years old. Let's celebrate what should be the best celebration almost ever, because there's other great ones. National Corn Dog Day was a good one, but today is National Pizza Party Day. Go ahead, have a pizza party. It's on me, but you're paying for it. That's how it works. One last thing to talk about that you might not have heard on the way out the door. A new study finds that TV viewing habits are found that men always seize control of the remote, regardless of whether they are planning to change the channel. So basically, in the situation where there's a man and a woman and they're watching a television show and the woman's sitting there with the remote on the couch right next to him, the man will always sit down. The man will pretty much always pick up the remote, but he won't always necessarily change the channel. It's, I don't know, territory thing. We have to hold the remote, I guess. This has been Things You Might Not Have Heard for Friday, May the 20th, 2022. My name, still Jay Cleveland Payne, bringing you today 6 stories to take along for your chit-chat to get on today. We are not your New Day. We're not your Morning Joe. We're not your Fox and Friends, but we do provide you a big chunk of things you can talk about going forward, and many things they're not talking about, because, yes, the baby formula thing is important. Ukraine is extremely important. COVID-19 is still here. Monkeypox, yes, there is monkeypox. But sometimes you want to talk about other things, chat about other things, be more rounded in your news coverage instead of the pandemic and the end time stuff that's always going on. So thank you very much. If you're joining us live for the chit chat, we appreciate you. If you join us in the future, just just drop something in the comments. We'll give you your props going forward. Going to say hello to Christina with a K, my beautiful wife, who's of course watching this live right now, preparing for her morning. We're going to go on to preparing for everyone's morning here and get you off to your start. Thank you so much for stopping for the news. Stay hydrated, stay limber, stay on task. We need you. We need you. We need you here to be along for all the great things that you are here to do, and be along come Monday. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube and you hit notifications, because Monday morning it's going to be a big deal. Lots of stories to get into, and these may be a lot of things you might not have heard coming from the Conversation Project.